Okie day. Hold on, I need this. Thank you. Okie day. We are live, folks. We are live today. So, what do we have? We have today stuff. And why does it not keep my stuff? Why does it keep throwing it away? Very well. Either way. What am I looking for right now? Nothing. We're good. We're going. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. My name is TheologyMatters. You can call me Eli. And for my people in District 6 of Oklahoma, I am The Anomaly. So today we're going to have a great homebound video, more or less. At least the beginning part of it. So I actually am switching formats. So I typically was going to do last week, literally last week, I streamed the boomer mentality video, but I did the boomers last instead of in the beginning. So I think I'm going to flip that order though and do main and then some smaller stuff later. So we're going to just get straight into Ryan Walters and bringing the Bibles into the schools. Thank you all for watching. If you could hit that big red button for me, that'd be great. And if you can give me a thumbs up, that'd be nice. If you're going to give me a thumbs down, at least tell me why in a comment. But other than that, I think that's it. Thank you for the people who have been kicking into the Magic streams. I got a new fan for my computer because I found out that one of my fans wasn't blowing cold air in. So that's a bonus for us. So I may be able to play Destiny Monday. Probably after this, I'm going to find out whether or not my computer's still overheating. Other than that, I think that's it. Yeah. So yeah. And next week's gonna be fun. I'm actually doing another collab, I believe, with we haven't set time, but I believe this same time I'll be with Just a Catholic for a collab, for a stream that will has an intersection between politics and the faith. So future knowledge for y'all. So let's get into the thick of this all. So, oops, sorry, I killed the stream. Let's see. So we got to start back. So way back in what was it? Gosh. Oops, sorry. I'm looking at my files. I'm having a different format because I have to keep. There's a lot of more videos this time than not as bad as last week. Last week was worse. So back in November of 2024, before I died from every other ill, and then everything else started to show up out of the blue that overtook it. Ryan Walters is our superintendent for superintendent of Oklahoma. So he won election about 3-ish, almost getting to 4. He's up for re-election for his second time. He proposed buying books for the classroom, and so he wrote this message later. Let me add the video so you all can know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay. We're flipping. Thank you. Okay, let's roll.
I'm excited to announce today that Oklahoma is the first state to bring the Bible back to the classroom. Today we purchased over 500 Bibles that will be in the AP government classrooms across the state. Bible just like this. We have the Bible, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. These are foundational documents in our nation's history. Our kids have to understand the role the Bible played in influencing American history. It's very clear that the radical left has driven the Bible out of the classroom, which leads to a lack of understanding of American history. We will not stop until we've brought the Bible back to every classroom in the state.
Okay. So, whoop. Sorry, gotta kill it. There we go. So pretty cool, interesting. We all, I think, would approve that, especially many Christians, However, I had a little bit of a gut feeling of I don't know about that. Fortunate or somewhat unfortunately, let me screen share real quick. Yeah, unfortunately, the Oklahoma Supreme Court, they have decided to block um, the buying of these Bibles for all the school districts. Now, mind you, this was in March of this year, so it took a little bit of time. Um, so yeah, so his plan is kind of dead, but I want to talk about the plan because he still is pushing it, and I think that's good. If my mic, okay, there we are. So his plan is nice, but there's some problems in it, and so I kind of want to go through those. Um, gosh, hold on. Good grief. Okay, there we are. So I kind of want to go through the issues that befall this program in both somewhat because of the Catholicism mixed with just the application of what he is attempting to do. So we'll get into that. So first, we got to start out with the Bible itself. So he actually showed. Oh no, this is right. So he actually showed. So this is from Newsweek. He lifted up a Bible in the video. If you all didn't see, this one, in fact, right? He showed this Bible, and the thing about this Bible is it's very uniquely covered, right? And so Newsweek had written that they believed that it looks like the God Bless the United States Bible that Trump has like endorsed. Um and yeah, it looks remarkably similar. Very much so. What I definitely think was funny though, because I looked and verified it myself. It was really funny because they've got a camo Bible that you can buy, which is probably the most um, interesting of what I saw there. That yeah, really selling to the Americans here. And then there was this thick, very Trump filled Bibles for all $100. But anyways, and so I find this is funny is like this is where we were pulling it. Now, however, I say this is where he was pulling it. He actually wasn't pulling it all, or he wasn't intending that Bible specifically. Just it said leather bound, and that it had the next content. It needed to have like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and I think with the Pledge of Allegiance potentially. I have a thing for that. Hold on. There we are. Yeah, so the initial request, it was just bound by leather. Um, yeah, it so happens that Bible fits the parameters. That's practically it. Um, Now it is a King James Version Bible, so of course it is. Because that's just what everyone has practically. Um, but yeah. But in the Bible, yeah, it's got or in here it says the translation, it's got the King James Version, which uh is just intriguing on itself. But yeah, it's got God Bless the United States song. It's got, at least the chorus, I guess. The Constitution, Declaration of Independence, with Bill of Rights, which I thought was just in the Constitution itself. So I don't know how that's different, but cool. The Pledge of Allegiance as well. So, yay, right? So, and I should mention, I forgot about this. If any of you want to drop anything in the chat, do not hesitate to do that. Furthermore, after this video, I'm going to be doing a Theology Matters Interesting Takes and Interpreting Heresy, and then a new one, Lament of a Warden. So stay around for that after we finish with the closer. So what do we have? What's next? Oh yeah. So financing, I was concerned for a minute that we're spending a lot of money on Bibles that we don't need to. So using the 50,000 or so that they were trying to get, and assuming that we had a $60 amount, it only comes up to 3 million. I looked at the education budget. It's in like the billions of 5.6 so billion. So okay, yeah, it's practically nothing to the budget. So I can't really hit it for that angle, but I will hit it for the theological ways. But what was interesting is I've been spending time because when I first saw this, I figured, oh, well, it has to be about bringing faith into the schools. That's what I think because that's what the leftists are all freaking out. And then it's just like I hear this again. So let me see. Is the video up now? No, video's not up. So this is from the American Voice. So yeah, so all it says is that it needs to that it just requires to analyze the literary elements of biblical stories and identify how they have impacted Western culture. So basically, to be how did this book make history? Because mostly it's a history focus, which I'm thinking. But if it's going into every classroom, just why then not every history classroom? Because I sincerely doubt that 50,000 history classrooms exist unless because it's like 5th or 12th grade, which you don't really. I don't know how you would have a 5th grade because I only had like a devoted history class in 6th grade, but that's a different story because I went through the Oklahoma public school system myself, so this is kind of like a return somewhat of myself. But what's interesting is he does this weird he has this weird thing that I didn't pick up on until a while. It took me a little bit before I actually figured it out. But he does this weird statement that I thought was intriguing. Am I on D? Oh yeah. Sorry. I'm thinking. So here's he talking, I think on channel 6.
Feelings. First of all, yeah, we're going to
Yeah. News on 6.
have the Bible back in every classroom this fall. We're very excited about that. We need to do that. We need to make sure that our kids understand the role the Bible played in American history. It's the most read book in American history. It's the most cited book in American history. Don't know how you understand America. I don't know how you understand anything about our society, our government, or anything else if you don't have an understanding of the Bible and the role the Bible played.
Okay. So what I think is interesting is that he doesn't specify anything about teaching in that entire thing. He never mentioned that we're teaching theology or anything of that ilk. It's mainly just, so here's a book that's really important, which I don't understand why you have to buy them for that. Like I don't understand the focus on it. And I don't know if this is because I don't think Ryan Walters is Catholic. If he is, then that just skipped right over me. But this is with all due respect to the Protestant brethren that I live in with Oklahoma, because it is a Baptist stronghold, I won't deny. Y'all prioritize a bit on it, a little bit too much. That's a bit off-putting. Like it's so much the Bible, right? Like he's mentioning the Bible and teaching about the Bible, but it's like the Bible is only something because of someone higher, right? Like without God, the Bible is essentially a book, right? Like without the creators, author, whatever title you want to throw, what is the Bible really worth? And I think that is where like kind of the this is where Protestantism, because of course the church, we have the 3 stool approach. Yeah, there's 3 fingers, the 3 stool approach. And so, but it's like in Protestantism, they just have the one, and it's just the Bible, right? So I thought that was interesting, and I think that's why like he's so ingrained on making it the Bible, because the Bible is only a avenue about God for a Catholic, because you don't just have to read the Bible to like see God, hear him, or anything. Like you can go to mass because he's there. You can go to adoration, which getting similar. But yeah, and then there's just a host of other stuff. There's just prayer, like, and then of course the Bible, right? Like, I know in I've probably written about 3 or 4 different tweets about that, but there's like the weird thing where Catholics can't read their Bibles. They don't have any Bibles, and then it's like everyone makes a tweet saying like, I'm about to be jailed by the Catholic forces because because I have one. But anyways, um but it's just weird because so there's this other video that he did. Let me show this video. Um oh no. Did I switch it? Or did I just show that? I think we showed it. I think. Okay, I'm gonna have to queue it up again. Hold on. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm missing this. Um That's interesting. Where did it go? Or did it not go? That is interesting. I have this video. I know I do. Give me like 2 seconds. I know I have this video. Okay, hold on. Okay, I know what I'm looking for now. Where is it? I know I have it. Where is it? I know I trimmed this thing myself. Come on. Sorry, hold on. I'm dealing with small font. Is it this? Nope. Ah, phooey. It didn't. Man, didn't save. Okay. So I'll just show it. I'll show it's not cut. That's the only issue, but I have it, so that's at least a win for everyone. Why did it not be a option?
These are the guidelines.
Okay, let me shove it over to where he's actually talking. Okay, so we're talking about the guidelines that he's produced. From the I'll just do this. So this is from what was it from? This is from Channel 5 News. There we are. So he says this one statement that actually is just interesting to me because this is actually the counter to what the left have been saying about him. So
School year is required.
Teach the facts. We're not asking teachers to come in and preach from the Bible. We're saying, look, historically, if Thomas Jefferson references, as he does in the Declaration of Independence, that there's rights that come from your Creator, well, what did he mean by that?
The guidelines.
Oh, that's it. Sorry. So that's an interesting statement because how everyone in the media is making it sounds like everyone's freaking out because, oh no, he's going to teach theology. But in reality, it's just like, oh, we're going to teach about how the Bible and like, how that connects into, history and whatnot. But I thought it was interesting because in the video, hold on, let me go back. If I load it up again. Sorry. There we are.
These are the guidelines released.
So it's interesting because he says this one
School
thing.
year is required.
Teach the facts. We're not asking teachers to come in and preach from the Bible. We're saying,
Okay, so he said, so just the facts of what is in the Bible, I guess. I don't know where the facts necessary, but that said, of just that there is no teaching theology or anything of that ilk.
look, historically, if Thomas Jefferson references, as he does in the Declaration of Independence, that there's rights that come from your Creator, well, what did he mean by that?
The guy.
Okay, so I think it's interesting though because he says, well, okay, so if Thomas Jefferson mentions the Creator, well, what does that mean? Isn't that still an indirect to teaching the faith though? Because he means creator of what? The universe. Who's created the universe? God. Like, we're going around in a weird convoluted squiggly line. It's just A to B will work. Especially for kids. I don't think you need to make it that difficult. But it's like it seems somewhat cowardly. I'll admit to that. Because it's like just state that then that you just want to educate the people in the faith. Um, because like it's like understand the role of the Bible. But the role of the Bible is only something when you understand what the Bible contains, which means you have to learn what it contains, which requires theology. So, anyways, but I have so that's at least that point. The next point I have is like, what if he was actually going to teach from like if he actually did what the left is saying? I wouldn't want that either, because from what I was hearing, it was like, oh, we're gonna teach from the Bible. Okay, that is so vague that I don't know what to really do with that. Because it's like, oh, teach from the Bible. Atheists teach from the Bible. I was in college one time, and I think it was masks. We were doing masks. I think this was my second year. Yeah, my second year, second semester. One of my professors was talking about, oh, wear a mask because in John what something, it's like love your neighbor as yourselves and yada yada yada. And what I find is funny is like it's always people always want to throw one verse at a Christian, but it's like completely ignore like Leviticus or anything of that ilk. It's like, yeah, so I know I have a gay lover, but you should be nice to me. I'm sorry that a lot of people turn into memes. For crying out loud, I'm probably one too, but it's cool. I'm okay with being one. If anything, I kind of want to. It's like being a saint, only secularly. But like, the public school teachers, not all of them are Christians, so obviously we run into the atheist problem. But then, of course, we get into a different issue. There's also the Protestant issue, because obviously I'm Catholic. I'm gonna fully admit that because I just am. But what's interesting is like if you're going to bring in, Protestants to teach from the Bible, supposedly, which again, it's kind of not really what he's doing. But assuming that he was, we have a wee bit of a concern because now, what Protestantism is correct, and so then we're gonna have to get into like a standardized, because what lessons from the Bible can you actually teach that aren't heresy in other faiths? Because like let's say you did teach about the Eucharist. There's gonna be some people who are gonna say, oh, it's real. Some people are gonna say it's a symbol. Some people are gonna say it's the true body and blood of Jesus Christ. Which one's true? And are they gonna be able to have an answer? And I don't know if they will. Because then, of course, like, especially like even as Catholics, if Catholics really wanted to be on board with this, the problem is that more than likely there's gonna be a Protestant who's gonna walk in and start talking about that, all the Catholics and their unbiblical traditions, because I literally saw a tweet like that or a video today, and it literally was just, oh yeah, Catholics and their unbiblical traditions, and then like proceeds then to rip into it. But it's like, again, I have to reiterate the point of, you say it's unbiblical, but we didn't have the Bible for, centuries. It's kind of hard to like say we're unbiblical for doing stuff. It's kind of like when people want to bring up like Mary's virginity and how like, oh well, she didn't shag Joseph, then she's breaking Corinthians, and it's like Corinthians was written after Jesus, like completely. So it's like you're judging past from now, but it's like, but do you not understand he's laying a law now, but back then it wouldn't be applied because Mary was under no such law, right? Like we are, but that's today. Today we are. Tomorrow we are. Yesterday, well, yesterday, yes, but you get the drift. But it's like I like his plan. I won't deny I like his plan. I voted for Walters myself. What was that? 4 years ago, almost. Like I voted for myself, him myself. I didn't like that he was a former teacher. Just a problem with everyone. Like, yeah, it's not a like, I don't hate him because he's a teacher. I just hate that there's the stereotype of that, oh, a teacher. Ugh. Um, my my I would say I bet he's ununionized because Oklahoma's a right to work state, so I sincerely doubt he has um a unionized because he also doesn't like unions, so I suspect that he wouldn't have joined one. So, like, there's that concern, right? There's the concern that, like, what lessons from the Bible? Because there's lessons that even atheists will take from, but not necessarily be religious. Then we get into the other issue, which is that he's using the King James version, which of just of course he is. I don't know why, but just like that just is the just norm. And yeah, the old English is on my nerves, primarily because of the guy who made King James, who checks notes, killed wife because she couldn't produce a male. I don't understand. I still don't understand. I never found out in the history. I understand she had a female. Does he think like they can only produce females? Was it literally like, can one woman only produce one? Like, it's kind of on him. He kept giving her X's. Like, give her a Y. But it's like I just don't understand that. And then of course he killed like hundreds of them. And then he did his own thing. He mild moralist the church. So, but the King James version, as a Catholic, I also can't support this purchase really. If as a legislature body, I can't support this because it's 66 books. It's not the 73, which is what all Catholics have. And funny enough, I'd have to ask, well, if you wanted Bible, you want more Bible, right? 7 more books. Sounds like a good offer. It's cheaper, honestly. Like he was saying about the leather bound for durability and all. I'm like, I've got one that I found at the Catholic bookstore for like $20, and it's somewhat got a leather bound. That it's not like that leathery, but it's definitely got it's hardcover. It's actually pretty worthy. I actually got it as a gift one time for a guy in RCAA, and then I got it for myself because it just was nice. When I looked at it, I was like, I kind of need to grab one myself. Where am I? Oh, E. So, but I looked at the dates. If you actually search from when the King James version was made, it was 1617, and then douay-rheims was created. So technically, it was like in the 15 something, but then it like the Old Testament took a little bit, and so by the time all of it was done, it was 1610, but a little bit beforehand. So like the first English one would have been the douay-rheims. Blah, blah, blah. I'm butchering this. Nefertari domain. I'm sorry. The douay-rheims. We're gonna move on. but I looked up because I was looking up later of like what are actually accepted translations, and I actually
Guidelines.
found nope, and definitely nope. Screen sharing. Here we are. Oh, sorry. Here we are. There we are. So finally, I figured out the problems I was having. So this is from the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, which I don't know why but that second C is kind of repetitive. Just like you're a bishops, kind of go fig. You're Catholic, but okay. So we got all of these. So the New American Bible Revised Edition is pretty common. I'm pretty sure that's the one that I gave out. Some of these I don't know. I know the Saint Catholic or the Saint Joseph's, I think I've seen as well. In other places, but yeah. So, but this is supposedly all that are allowed. So, ooh. Okay. So yeah. So that at least ends kind of like by my criticisms, I would say, of Walters and what he is trying to or at least for somewhat. So Walter's trying to establish, like, I definitely wouldn't be just going and buying Bibles to then just have in the classroom merely to just like not use, because it's like, oh well, in the history context, what does it, having the Bible and doing this and that, it doesn't make any sense if you're not going to enforce any theology to me. Um, so I wouldn't think that this is a smart idea. Um, and I honestly would be like, I don't think this 3 million would be spent efficiently in that case. Now, I was thinking, because I am intending to go to the state house at some point. So it's like, okay, so I'm going to kill something. Great. Now, what's an alternative? And I actually was thinking, and because Walters is kind of like skirting around the edges, I just go full in. Um, I would just propose to add a theology class to the Oklahoma required standards. So like when I was in public school in Oklahoma, we had half a semester for Oklahoma history. And so you have to take Oklahoma history. You have to take like 4 years of English, 3 of math, 3 of history, some other stuff. You have to take either 2 years of computers or 2 years of foreign language, which of course I took computers because no stupido, but nah, making my life easy. Which, I say computers, it wasn't computers. It was use Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, Publisher, which hardly everyone uses probably. But it's interesting. But I would push for a theology class, like adding a class specifically devoted to theology. And I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, how would that actually be acceptable? But the problem is, like, I would obviously have to get Protestant brethren to agree to this. So it might be a bit more. I might have to allow some allowances and unfortunately demote some of the Catholicism in it. But I feel like that's a slow win, maybe. I don't know, but it would depend. Obviously, we would have to write all this stuff down, but I would add the theology class, and because, you have to be required to do stuff. Oklahoma history is only half a semester. Um, and so that leaves an extra half a semester. Now, I know with myself, so I think they fill it with government. That's what it's supposed to be. Oh wow, that is what it was supposed to be. Sorry, I was thinking about it the other day. Yeah, I forgot. My counselor screwed up whenever that happened because I was supposed to take because I took health and then I took Oklahoma history, but so I took it half an elective and then I took what I needed to. But then they were like, "Oh yeah, you got to take government again." So it's like I had to take government, right? I had to take government. So they fixed it the year after me, but um like honestly, I would just make it half a semester because you could because half a semester because you could totally do that. You could totally teach a theology class in half a semester. RCAA is done once a week on Tuesdays. That's only one day. There's what is that? 8 months maybe. So that's 32 times. So that's give or take 7 weeks, which you're there for 18. So you have about 3. You could slow it down to 3 times, so like you can go into the topics of maybe a bit more than just RCA. Excuse me. Which I think would be, because there is programs out there. Like, in RCA, we're just turning on Symbolon season 2, not with Shri. But, when we watch it, we go through the questions and all that. But I don't think it needs to be that introflective. I don't even know if that's the right word, but because like a lot of the questions are like, in your own life and yada yada yada. But I feel like if we could teach the theology, and I feel like teaching the theology wouldn't be as bad as it is. I feel like I just Kamala there. Um, but it's like I think a theology class would be a better motive than this, just we'll just give them a Bible and they'll figure stuff out. Um, with all due respect to my Protestant brethren, there's more to the Christian faith than just the Bible. So I don't know. It's weird to me that but again, this is where it's like the evangelicals, somewhat non-denominational. That's practically all that there is, because there's not exactly anything more to it. I definitely would say, like I said, work with the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, because like Ryan is intending to spend like $3 million. Uh, I'd rather pay $3 million to the church to create either like an online course, so that way there's some consistency in what everyone's learning. Um, and we wouldn't have to pay a teacher; we just have to pay a hall monitor, more or less. But the online class also would be, since a lot of the kids are now online, they have that then, so then all that works together. But if you want, because you would have to bring in someone to teach theology. But the one thing about with working with the bishop or the bishops is that we could get it all focused onto the Catholic way. Because like I know there's in Oklahoma, there's St. Isidore's. And I don't remember. I know that they were going through their court case. I don't remember if they passed or not. I thought they got kicked. But I thought the Supreme Court just didn't hear they heard their case. Yeah. And I think they lost, which, bummer. Because I think it would be okay. And of course it was Drummond. Had to be Drummond. Gosh, hate that dude. No, I don't hate him. I just wish he was not AG. Different story. If you have been on my channel long enough, you know that AG Drummond has a target on his head, rightfully given, because he's 60-year-old trying to play firefighter to the arson that he set long ago. But anyways, but again, I think adding a theology class would be a great idea, especially like even if like we had to dumb it down to just simplistic stuff. I feel like it would be better than nothing, because like I mean, like I would assume in Catholic stuff, in Catholic education, there we are, which Walters even admits that we are like the best in doing it. I feel like there's got to be a class that's of theology. There's got to be something that there's some teacher who's already like, oh yeah, I got a lesson plan with like hundreds of different things. Like even if like I can't even get it required, I feel like school should offer it. I feel like you could offer it as an elective, and I feel like people would take up on that. Especially if like supposedly the teacher makes it easy, so that way people just take it because it's an easy grade. But hopefully maybe just something just like sticks in there, and so at some point it just but yeah. But other than that, that's at least all that I'm gonna say right now of the Bible stuff. Other than that, that's practically it. The rest, I just want to like show a little bit of what Walters has been talking about. And give kind of a review on him, because he's up for re-election in 2026. I don't know whether or not I'm going to be with him, because one of the things, because some of the weird things, like I'll show some videos, because that's where we're at currently. So is it this one? So he was talking about the illegals here. Oops, sorry, flipping.
Here in Oklahoma, like every state around the country, we have seen the negative impacts of illegal immigration. We've seen illegal immigrants pour into our state, pour into our schools, bringing fentanyl, increasing crime, and creating an incredible burden for the taxpayers of the state of Oklahoma. Here in Oklahoma, we will not allow the lawlessness of the Biden administration to continue to negatively impact our classrooms. We're announcing a new rule that requires schools to turn over information about illegal immigration. We will solve this problem. We will no longer allow sanctuary schools here in the state of Oklahoma. Every state should follow our lead. President Trump and his administration have been crystal clear that illegal immigration will no longer be welcomed, and these issues will be dealt with. We will continue to work with President Trump and his administration to solve these problems for the taxpayers of Oklahoma, and we will be...
Okay, that'll be enough for right now. So, excuse me. So I do like that he's going after the illegals. I have a problem with, though, people nowadays, because I know long ago Back in 2016, if Trump said, I like that guy, that was good. In 2020, same thing. If he was like, he's the greatest, it's fine. Now, I look at you with a weird look. Probably the one I'm looking at the camera. Because it's not the same. It's not Trump anymore. Like 2024 Trump is not 2020 nor 2016. Like, for crying out loud, he's just allowing Chinese, what could be potentially Chinese spies in. He's not so hitting on the immigration anymore, which is funny enough. Which funny enough is right after I was doing the immigration video for Walters, because it's like, working with the Trump administration. The Trump administration ain't doing squat practically anymore for it, because it's like they're not even going after the illegals anymore. It's just like, well, if they're nice, keep them. It's like, they're illegal, kick them out, put an American in their job. I'm sorry, but that's just, I'm gonna advocate for that. And like I talk about this, and it's like he's just a bit more MAGA than I would want him to be. So, like, to give an example, I would say this.
This is from the Mirror Tier. The Oklahoma Board of Education has approved new curriculum standards that require students to be taught that the 2020 presidential election was rife with fraud or discrepancies. Sarah Parshall-Perry, what do you think?
I have to tell you, I think the case is specifically about the power of a state to transform its education through curriculum. Yeah. And I think Oklahoma is leading the way. I am very impressed with the fact that this is made specifically to create critical thinkers. And don't we need more of that in American education?
Okay. So, I don't know what Kool-Aid she's on, but I don't want it. It's probably blue. Red gang. Actually, it's purple, but red. I'll allow red. I'll be red and purple. But like, I feel like, especially with the 2020 election, right? And I have to be careful here because some of the YouTube rules are applied. But like, the things that went down, yeah, there's some weird stuff, but it doesn't help that I remember, I couldn't find it, but I remember Trump literally said, "Oh yeah, I lost it," which is what everyone believes. But he then said, like, "Oh yeah, I lost it," which is a complete reverse of, the 2-3 years of him saying, like, "It was a great unfair thing. I totally won." So, and then I thought this was on the campaign trail. So it's like on the campaign trail, people are going to say what they're going to say to get elected, which I think is problematic, because it's like, if you're not going to be honest with me, then I got to ask if you're honest with yourself. It's just standard question. But anyways, but Walters seems very confident with his belief that he can get these Bibles in the school district. Why do I have D, but I don't have D? Oh, there's D. Okay.
That's going to be where we're going to start. A lot of parents probably don't pay.
So this is from Channel 9, I think. Channel 9? Gotta be Channel 9. Yeah, News on 9.
Pay attention to the ins and outs of the legislative session. So what do you hope they take away as their kids are heading into the next school year?
Well, huge wins for parents this session. We're so excited. Your kids are going to get a better understanding of American history than ever before. So we've got the best history curriculum coming your school's way. Your kids are going to understand the founding of the country. They're going to understand what makes America exceptional. They're going to understand that without a liberal bias. It's going to be just the facts. It's going to be history. They're going to understand the role the Bible played in American history. We're going to tackle all of these subjects, and your kids are going to get a patriotic education. It's what we should be all promoting, is that our kids love America. They love our history. They understand it. They understand where we came from. They understand what makes us unique. We could not be more excited about these history standards, and those are going into effect this school year. So, a huge win.
Okay, so I do admire his confidence. His confidence level is off the charts. He keeps saying the same things over and over. Which I kind of wish I had that cup of brain, but he keeps reading like a script every single time, and it's I wouldn't say annoying, but it's just like, it's the same. It's kind of like listening to a Trump speech after like 4 years, because like he kept saying the same stuff over and over, and it's just like 2024 was just, I started What? Like in 2016, it was like, holy crap, Trump's speaking. And now it's like, Trump's speaking. Anyways. But yeah, I weary with Walters just a bit. I just like there's part of me that's like he's trying to get this so much, but he does done good stuff. He's got Tulsa Public School, which used to be rated like abysmally, and it's actually pretty good now. So and it's like Tulsa has a like I thought there was something wrong with that. I thought it was failing. I thought it was a failing school. Which I'm like good on him. Like we need because there's a lot. Like I will agree, Walters. I don't have the video for it, but Walters was talking about there's a lot of money going into the education budget, which given that it's what was the number? 5.6 billion. I hope so, because that's our money going in there. Which is why, like, as a future state rep, I fully intend to be advocating for that every agency needs to be putting together an itemized budget. Because I'm tired of this, like, we just need 5.6 billion. Like, I want to know what it is. Like, when I looked at this, maybe I can just find it. Let me go find it real quick. Let me show you what I saw, because what it is really sad. So let me find it. So what did I look up? I looked like Oklahoma state budget. Yeah, let's just go with 2025. You just hit enter. Whoa. Why is he telling me that it's a 12 point? Hey, who knew? $12.5 billion towards Oklahoma. That's a lot of cash. Okay, then what number am I reading from then? Okay, hold on. Maybe is this AI? Hold on, let me look up Oklahoma State education budget. Oh, it's 3.9 billion. Okay, so I'm off by 1.7, which okay, so hold on. What's that math then? Hold on. Now I'm doing math again. So we got 3 point that's the wrong time to do it though. So if it's 3 million, it was that 300ths of a billion. So it's only okay. The Bibles are less than 1% of the budget. Okay, that's fine. Supposedly, but I was looking. This is not what it was. That it was. Okay, never mind. I'm finding it. So hey, I found it. So let me screen. I know you want to speak. Don't. I don't know if y'all heard that, but the video is going off again. Okay, hold on. Turn that off. Thank you. Okay, so wrong way. So let me beef this up. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Is there a way I can use something else? Ooh, yay. Okay, so this is what I saw. I saw the education budget here, and I assume this 5.6 was what I was looking at. But like that's one thing I'd say. It's like there's nothing here that really says like the budget. It's like we keep going down, and it just kind of says like the budget total, but it doesn't necessarily say like what each is for necessarily. It's just like everything has certain cash devoted to this, and this is from what is it? And this is for the executive budget ceremony. The executive budgets brief, which we can all receive. But it's like there's nothing here that's really like on guard, like nothing that states like, we bought 25 reams of paper and that cost, or I wouldn't say 25 reams, but it's like we're gonna have to buy paper and that's gonna cost us, $1 billion or something of that ilk. It's like we're gonna buy boxes of tissues and it's gonna cost, like $100 or whatever. Like, and that's in the budget for tissue paper and whatever. So it's like that's something I would want to do as a future rep, is make the budget where it's like I want to be so critical on it that we notice where there's waste and where there's just stuff. I don't want any more of this just kind of like we want cash. Because like I talked to a rep one time and he basically said, yeah, so basically what happens is that they'll come and tell us like, hey, we need X amount of cash, and then we either approve that, yes or no, and because they work on the budgets. So, but anyways, I went on to that topic for a reason. I forgot what it was. Um, was it why did I go on the budget? I was looking at something. I completely forgot. Wow, that's sad. That's sad. I have This is why I have a roadmap for all my videos, because I have this much of a forgetful brain. Gosh, give me like 2 seconds. Let me think. I talked about chat. You want to help me out? I know there's only like a few of you, so like, yeah, anyone want to help me out with a brain block? But gosh, what was it? Why did I talk about the budget? I talked about the itemized budget that he had. Oh, okay, finally, it got, yeah, all the pieces interconnected. So I was talking about the wasteful spending because the government takes in all the cash. Problem is that it's all going to like administrative role, and so it's like there's a lot of money going into the education system. The problem is that it's not going into the classroom, which I don't know why it doesn't. Like I would have thought that was just common practice, but cool. Mainly because of the fact that I thought we all would. Like I thought this just purely, but again, greedy individuals. But of course, it's also like how much money I don't know how much money, but like how much money does schools spend on like their football programs and whatever? Like I say this like I know I'm a nerd, I know, but like I understand sports is a way out for some people, but you're there for the academics more than the extracurricular of. So much so that literally if you got a F in a class, you couldn't be eligible for sports. So just a little aside there. But yeah, but I think that finishes us off. If anyone wants to write anything to say, I know there's a few of you on Twitter, so I don't know if um any of you are saying something on there. I am on YouTube, by the way, so if you want to go there and write something, you could do that. But let me look briefly. I have 3 notifications, so nope. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna take 1 second just to look at the tweet, and then I will continue on the other segments. Does that sound cool with everyone? I say that like you somewhat have a choice. Nah. uh, okay, cool. Sweet. So yeah, one thing I will say for the people on whatchamacallit, Twitter, is if you want to help me out and go to YouTube, that would help me out because I still need to get monetized. And if you could sub to me, that'd be great. If you like what you're hearing, follow me on the Twitters and everything else under the sun. I have a link probably in my bios and some other things here and there. But yeah, hold on, I'm going back to it for 1 second. Yeah, there is 6 of you. Wow. 6 of you are listening. Wow. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I'm thankful that you're here. I'm surprised you're here, but I like that you're here. So, anyways, we're gonna move on then to kind of the smaller stuff that I have planned. So, does everyone like the swap? I kind of like the swap, how it's swapped, where we're doing more of big boy content and then we're going into the other stuff. Ooh, I need my files. Does everyone have? Everyone's here at 9:00 at a Thursday night. What's wrong with you? No, I'm just what am I looking for? Oh yeah, my files again. So I have to go into different things. So we're gonna start actually. Oh, well, that's a bummer. I didn't start out with an intro. So, anyways, so y'all are gonna join intro. You're all gonna join intro now, because we are going to be doing Theology Matters, interesting takes. So, oops, wrong file. So, where am? Oh, that's why I'm in the wrong file. I have, if you know, like, I know I keep saying like I'm in the wrong file and going through files and stuff. I have a detailed filing. I'm very German. No, I'm joking. Not really. I I kind of do it in person too, but I'm very German with my files. So it's like I literally have files for different things. So like I literally have like the file for what my creative work is, a file for just the political portion, a file for the gaming. But you go into political one, there's one for the segments, and then one for like the videos that I've made. So it's very like very much of a one pathway. Like if anyone got on my computer, they could totally research like all my filing, which is kind of bad and not at the same time. So, anyways, welcome to Theology Matters. Interesting takes. If it nope, please don't. Thank you. Welcome to Theology Matters. Interesting takes. Okay, damn. So, excuse me. Oop, sorry. So, what do we have today? What do we have today for Theology Matters Interesting Takes? So, this weekend. Yeah, this weekend. Starting tomorrow. Whoop. Starting tomorrow. We have the Young American, or not the Young Americans. Well, yeah. Well, Turning Point. Turning Point is putting on a Young Women's Leadership Summit. So, last week I talked about, like, I don't know why we're even doing this. Because, yeah, young women's leadership, I don't know if I would really be, I don't know exactly what they'd be leading except dinner, but no offense, ladies. I'm trying to save you. Nah, well, I am, but when I was here, the only person really here that will allow is Brett Cooper. Everyone else is kind of meh. I don't like Lila a bit. I think she's a feminist. I think Allie is a feminist. Congresswoman, just no. And then Nancy Mace, no. I'm sorry. Let me do that right. No. Yeah, she's more of a man than some men, and that's a problem because she's got a uterus. But what a lot of people were focusing on afterwards, because the first list dropped, and this is the second list, and so I had the second list at the time. But there's a specific person right here. Right. Okay, I can't zoom in anymore. Right here, though, Nyla Ray. So Nyla Ray, for those of you who don't know who she is, she's a former, how do I say that? She's a former artist that, yeah, no, I'm not defiling artist. She used to be defiling herself, but that's in a different way. So anyways, she used to do the not the black and orange, but the OFA one. And of course, she converted out. She stopped doing it, which good on her. Like I'm not gonna bash her against that. The only thing I'll bash her on is the fact that she at one point said on the whatever podcast that she doesn't believe in the Trinity, which is kind of like a tenet of the Christian faith. That's just what it is. Like, cool. But it's like with Nyla, right? With Nyla, she's got, because like there's at one point, like I think people can tell her, like if she wants to tell her story, cool. I think though a problem that she's gonna be facing is that she shouldn't be telling her story this early, because it was like the moment that she converted, right? Because like I think the first time I saw her from doing the whatever podcast, and not necessarily watching whatever, but I saw her clip, because it's always on Twitter. There's always like the clip of she's like, what did she used to say? What was the one thing she said? I know there's the woman that was talking about like I look to date men and break them, but that wasn't her. What was her thing? Was it when she dominated man? Something like that ilk. I'm not looking it up, but like, I'm glad she walked away. I'm gonna say that. Like, I obviously am not going to say anything different, but I will say, as a also convert to the Catholic faith of now over 5 years, um, which was a great milestone that I celebrated in RCA the other week or two ago. One of the things I found when I started my conversion, I entered the church wrong. I entered because she was based, and that was wrong. And it took me about a year, I would say, or like during the first year, for it to actually like sink in and work. Um, and during that time, I was probably what I am now, still the apologetic warrior defending. Like, it was nothing more than like political, right? Like political beliefs. Like, when you believe something for so like politically, you're going to defend her, kind of in the same way now. And that, I feel like, was detrimental to the spiritual journey I was on. Excuse me. It had to. Oh man, sorry. I just realized I forgot to grab something before the stream. Um, but it was just really like, I feel like it hindered the faith that I went on. At least until my sophomore year, which, well, funny enough, we'll talk about in Lament of a Warden. But it's like, I feel like it just like, and I'm not the only Catholic that's even saying this, but just there's a lot of, when you freshly join the church, you really want to defend her. You want to be like, I made the right choice, and like, look at why you're wrong. And like, everyone has kind of that mode. And I think Nyla's kind of in that, but I don't think that she should. I don't think that she should be parading out like she is now. Now, I understand her story is really like big, right? This would be like I'm trying to think of a comparison story. Like, it's like there's like Scott Hahn, Keith Nesser, they're all former Protestant pastors and they all turned Catholic, and I understand that maybe it's like, it's not exactly like secular to faith, but it definitely was it's like, you were a pastor of a Protestant faith and you believed the Protestantism for so long, and then it's like, yeah, so everything I've been teaching is somewhat wrong. Yeah, or Jelly Roll. Yeah, Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll has a, I don't know all his story, but I thought he went to like prison and stuff, and that would be another story. But it's like, I don't know how long Jelly Roll has supposedly been whatever he is. The only time I really ran across him was American Idol. So that's just on that. But excuse me. But I don't think that she should. And then furthermore, I disagree that she, like, I think she should be walking, like, just kind of like watching, at least for now. Like, she's not even, I don't, is she on 2 years? Hold on, hold on, I'm gonna look up Michael Knowles. Because Michael talked to her when she first converted, right? And then he did it a second time to her, not live. Here, we need to do an Isla race search. So we talked to her 4 months ago. No, that's a short 4 months ago. Oh, no, it is. Yeah, 4 months ago. Okay, so she's about less than 2 years, less than a year and a half. So I'm about 3 times a Christian, been 3 times a Christian longer than her. And then of course, like, I get trampled out too. Like, it's 5 years. It's not that long. Most of it was me in college anyways. But, I don't know, because like this video, so I found this video from, I was on Twitter, where mostly I live. I also live in Oklahoma, but but there was this video from whatchamacallit. So Rachel, I think it's Rachel. Rachel is the Rachel Wilson, the wife of Andrew Wilson, and Andrew Wilson leads, I think, The Crucible is the podcast or whatever. He's Orthodox, so better, probably closer than others. But she posted a video from, I think, Crowder's members block, which I don't have Mug Club anymore. I had it for 2 years, and then I went to college and I had to drop it. I also don't have time to listen to it as much. And then now I make the stuff, so it's kind of like, it's hard to, like, what I'm reeling in usually is my stuff, or making my stuff. But they did this he did this video talking about because of what Andrew had said on the whatever podcast one time. And I think this was the time that, while it's not in this video, it's in a different video, that she denied the Trinity, which, Andrew lit her up for, which kind of have to agree was justified.
We've already found some pretty.
Okay, so here's Crowder's vid. I'm gonna skip through it just a bit. Okay.
Ministry.
How does church history make you safe? How does church history make you safe?
You quit OF and started a ministry, and now you're out here teaching people.
I never started a ministry.
Podcast.
I never started a ministry.
Then why are you on here correcting people about theology?
What, your husband?
Don't know the first thing about
your
it?
husband who.
Okay, so by ministry, what does that mean?
Okay, I've never started a ministry. Except she literally sells you courses right now for 15, the anointed pathway.
Oh boy.
Is that?
Yeah. So what I thought was funny is, so I look at this and I'm like, yep. The one thing I will say, hold on, let me bring up. So, because just so this is verified, I need to screen record and I need to grab this. Oops, sorry. Things are not on. There we are. So we're looking at the stuff. So if I go and search, though, the anointed pathway right here, right now. First thing, sorry, hold on. Just so I don't go on to something else that I don't need to. Nyla Ray, just search that up. First thing, at the anointed pathway, got it. Did I spell anointed wrong? There we are. Okay, I looked this up during Brave. I was using Brave, not is this Edge? Yeah, Edge. So you go in here, boom, right here. You go to the About page. Oh, we were there. You go, was it the About page? Oh no, homepage. There's a picture of her, like, blatantly there. And then we go into the About, which is where we get, she shows herself again, and then this is her man. So the one thing also I'd like to mention, so his last name, right, is this. Her name is this. Like, I don't know whether or not to call her a feminist and him a simp, or call her out. Like, there's that, or calling her out and keeping her stage name. Because Nyla Ray was the name. I assume if I look up Nyla Ray, like, on the interweb, and I was looking for her old videos, I bet you her name was still Nyla Ray, was it not? Hold on, let me look up. I'm gonna hit her wiki. But, like, why? Sorry. Good. I don't know why, but they just showed me. They're showing me. Okay, I don't know why. Like, I'm not watching anything bad. It's just I typed in Nyla Ray to Microsoft Bing or whatever. But, like, one of them is Lena something, and then, like, they're. Hi, is everyone still here? Cool. I think Edge crashed on me. I don't know why it decided to do that, but I guess I was having too much of fun. So anyways, I'll move on. But, like, if her name was Nyla still, like, I'm not saying that she can't change her name. I'll agree to that. Like, she's gonna be that. But I'm like, if people knew her as Nyla Ray, I don't know if I would keep that, like, I would have taken my husband's name, if not only for, if not only to just, like, get away from the fact that, it's Nyla Ray, right? Like, oh, you're Nyla Ray, the whatchamacallit, it's like, how about if you didn't have that name, Why is Wikipedia not a search entry? Interesting. That is interesting. There is like wiki something, but okay. She's a pastor's child? No. Well, this is just getting more and more sad. From sin to salvation. Okay, yeah. So, but it's like because like I don't know. Like I noticed that she got rid of the red hair specifically because of that fact was that it was her like corn hair, right? Like like why would she keep the name that she has? And that's why I say it's like, is he a simp for allowing that? Like, no person, like I would never accept this type of like this is honestly like for guys, this is just disrespect. And I understand that some people may think, oh no, that's fine. No, it's disrespectful for the men. Because the man is having to then be like, oh, here's my wife that has a different name. She rejects your family. Like she doesn't want to be a family with you, if that be the case. Because she's holding on to her family. She doesn't want to join with you. And that's just sad. And I understand it's a name, but the name holds power, right? So anyways. Oh, I didn't pop it. Hold on. Okay. So yeah. But anyways. So yeah. I would not had kept, or I would not have done what Nyla is doing. I think that she should actually go into like I'm not saying that she should go like I know there's a lot of other guys that are like me. I'm not going to say that she needs to go into the boonies and stay there for the rest of her life, but I definitely think the fact because like she started out and immediately Knowles talked to her. A year later he talked to her and that's just her. And then I think Lila talked to her and now she's going to a conference. It's going to be very interesting because I wonder if it can be live streamed. And I bet you anything that video will be on Twitter and it's going to get her eviscerated by a buttload of other people. Because I don't think it's, like, oh, being saved and, it's like, I don't think this is a prodigal son problem. I think this is, like, it goes a little deeper than that. And I feel like a lot of people just want to put it in that way. But it's like, I don't have a problem that she's with us. I just think it's a problem that she's not ready to be in the spotlight that she has. And I think that's a worthy opinion. Like if she's and especially since she's going to deny the Trinity, kind of a central tenet of the faith. Like it's literally what is it in the creed? Because the creed is very much the Christian faith. Gosh. Well, it goes everywhere. Like there's 3 parts, so it's like anyways. I'd have to look at it. I'd have to get started. Good grief. My mind is just completely blanking on it now. I can't even think of the apostles. My brain keeps going to Nicene and then apostles just to be like get somewhere. But I'm frick, I don't remember. Anyways, we're gonna move on. So who's next on the chopping block or the interesting takes? Oh yeah, Tomi Lahren. So I'm a little late to the game party. So does everyone, which tends to happen, evident by the video that I should have done in November. So, what was her name? Tomi Lahren, right? I forget her name because I don't listen to her. Because, not because she's a woman, but because she's a loud woman. Different story.
It's a major problem.
Okay, flip. So everyone, if you're on Twitter, you probably saw this, but I'm gonna let her speak. And have you all get a headache if you want some ibuprofen. Here you go. Sorry. So
problem. And you know, Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. They did much the same thing with quiet quitting, where you can go to work and do less, and if you call it quiet quitting, it's somehow better. But Laura, I got to tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children. You know, that's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable families. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And therein lies a big part of the problem.
okay, so I love how she does admit to the feminism problem. I'm just gonna start there. She does admit that there's a feminist problem, but she doesn't want to admit that even Republicans are guilty of guilty of feminism as well. Then of course you got to get into like she just rattled off a lot of things about Gen Z guys. And how like, yeah, I won't deny there are some Gen Z guys. Take a shower, look clean, quit being a fat slob. Like hell, I tell myself that, and I'm only 180, or is it 170? I forget. I don't care. It's 10 pounds, but it's like I still wear a medium shirt. It's like I'm small enough. Mind you, I'm like 5'11", so body. I think I'm like just barely on the cusp of healthy, supposedly from the BMI, but technically it doesn't matter. Those don't matter because of the fact that that like if you have too much muscle, you'll actually like you'll be considered overweight, even though you're perfectly healthy. Like you're probably better than some overweight people. So, but what I think is funny is she talks about like, oh, we want to have kids and stuff. Yes, this is why your checks notes freezing your eggs. Career women, boss babies, yeah, girl bosses. There we are. I said it in the wrong reverse order. I just love this. There's this picture, this synopsis, but it's just. She wants to talk about how the faults are been. And let's be fair, there are some guys, I say some, but she's making this blanket statement. She has made a blanket statement that says that there are a lot more guys who are, just wanting to stay at home and be in their mama's basement. And I will tell you, I'm in the attic, baby. I'm on 2 different levels from the basement. Ground level. Sorry. I think the joke's funny because I'm messed up in the head, but that's a different story. I'm messed up in a good way. Yeah, no one dropped me as a baby. Or at least that no one admits to. Sorry. What am I getting on? Oh yeah, but like she wants to talk about like guys, but like to quote a little bit from Joe Enders, he's a good dude. You should go and follow him. But he talks about wealth that we're facing, and yeah, it does kind of be in a problem of young guys to earn money if all we keep bringing in are these illegals or these legal immigrants to fill jobs that regular Americans can do. For crying out loud, we got Musk and Vivek got in trouble during Christmas because they were advocating for the H-1B visas to do 7-Elevens, which an American can totally do. Like for crying out loud, get the hobo. He probably needs it. That's probably what it would take to turn him around, hopefully. But it's like if we're going to prioritize. We want to talk about like the feminization of men, supposedly, right? The feminization. I think some of it is the fact that a lot of men feel like there's no sense in fighting because of the fact that we are just doomed to what we are, right? Like, for crying out loud, Iran is now under attack by Israel. If there's a draft, you see this foot? This is the last time you're gonna see it. Because if I'm drafted, nah, I'm just turned disabled. I know people will say that's cowardly, and it's like, yeah, I'm not dying for a war that I don't believe in. Like, I don't understand why too many politicians believe that they can just send. Like, I was saying this one time to a guy. It's so weird that politicians will treat military as nothing more than like a game of Risk. It's like, oh, I lost, 3 troops. That's cool. I'll roll again and hopefully take it out. And then you lose like 2 others. And it's like, that was, 6 platoons or whatever. And they're all gone because you decided to play live or die with their bodies. So, but, so I think that's really just it. Like, she's definitely, this is like a boomer talking point. And I talked about the boomer mentality. And I also talked during last week, I talked about the boomer mentality, but I also told Gen Z, like, we need to reject this boomer mentality, but that also means that we need to fight against it. Like, not only do we resist becoming this boomer mentality, because like a lot of young guys know the problems with how the world is, but because you then have a duty, and that duty better get your ass out of that chair. Not the one in the basement, but just the one on the couch probably. But move and make the world better for alpha and beta. That was what I ended on last week, because it's true. Like, if the world is how you say it is, then we got to get it better, and that requires action. Well, where are you going to get the action? Look in a mirror. Like, look in a mirror. If you need me to point it out, like, you can do stuff. There are people who have given up their careers to run for public office. Like, that is not new. And I understand, like, running for public office and doing other stuff that requires a lot of sacrificing and other stuff. I get that. However, I'm probably the only guy that can actually say that and not be pointed that finger and then go, well, what are you doing? Because I can actually say the same. I'm probably the only guy, except for like Kyle Langford. He's probably, because he's running for governor. Sorry, wrong pipe. Good grief, went down the wrong pipe. So, anyways, so what are we on now? So that's at least all I'm gonna say about Tomi Lahren. Like, and again, like, I talked about guys. I guess I forgot to talk about the women. Some women are feminists. Even in our culture today, like Lauren's a feminist as well. If you actually prioritize, like, honestly, if you're gonna send your daughter to college, you better tell her it's a Mrs. degree. Like, don't be all like, I want to be an engineer. Like, if she goes into engineering, it's because she's trying to get the engineer guys who are like the smart guys. Or like, don't send her there and be like, I want to be a doctor. No, because then she'll be a doctor. And then of course we got to talk about the fact that like boomers and Gen Z, or not Gen Z, Gen X didn't actually teach their kids, but that's a completely different like whole spiel, because like I vehemently, I guess I'll go into it, but like I hate daycare. I just hate it. I hate it with a passion. I think I may have said this last week, but I hate it with a passion. Like, I know Lila Rose was one time advocating for that the government should pay for daycare, and I'm just like, no. Like, so you want to get like, so you don't want to parent. Like, and it was so funny coming from Lila Rose, because it's like, oh, the abortion be bad, and well, you should want to be a mother and be a father for the kid, but then it's like you're just gonna pass him off to a random stranger. It's like, I'm sorry, what? I hate daycare. I was in daycare for like, I say I was in daycare. I was in church daycare, or I wasn't even in daycare. It was, what was it? what do I title it? It was like my mom went to a Bible study for like an hour or two. So it wasn't like daycare, but it was definitely longer than I wanted to. Right. And like, there's a video, it pops up on YouTube like every now and then. Not YouTube, Twitter. there's a Twitter video that pops up every now and then, and it's like the kids see their parents after being in daycare, and like they just immediately start crying once they see them there, and they go to them because they're like, "Mom and Dad's here," and it's just like, why why are you paying for that? And then of course, like I met one person one time because daycare requires cash, right? Like it's not a free thing. And like I met one person who was like, yeah, the wife's entire salary was going to daycare. And I'm just like, why do you not just huh? Like I'm doing like the dog tilt when you say something, your dog just does that little huh? Like that's what the face I made. Because I'm just like, huh? Like, why would you if you're not gonna get any more money from it, you might as well be with your kid. Because like a lot of parents, I don't know why, but like this is definitely a boomer mentality type thing. But like a lot of like I said boomer, and when I meant boomer, I meant basically over the age of 40. But like they have this mentality of like the moment that your kid is 18, they're out of the house or like after they get college done. And I'm like, so were they not your kid? Or are they just like, or were you just a guardian? Like the government's gonna get at you, but only for the first 18. After that, it's like, if you treat them poorly, we don't care. It's like, and then you wonder why there's this problem with the generations where like, the millennials don't like their parents. Well, probably because they weren't actually parents. And so they don't actually love their parents because they never did. But anyways, is everything out of my system? I think so. Yep, pretty sure. So anyways, moving on from Tomi Lahren. What do we have? Oh yeah, Musk. So Musk has left DOGE. This is late. Yeah, this is okay. So this is about 2-ish weeks late. So Musk has left DOGE, which is I'm pretty sure DOGE is still there though. So this isn't like a defeat. But he left DOGE, which oh no, but like DOGE actually hasn't been doing anything because I think it was the big beautiful bill. It still encompasses some of the tax cut, or not the tax cuts, but the spending cuts that he was trying to do with DOGE. And so the budget is a mess because of course it has to be, because the government always has to be government. There always has to be more bureaucracy than necessary. But and then of course he crashed out on Trump later because the big beautiful bill. I forgot what was it. It was going to raise the debt ceiling or something. Which it seems that he may have been the autistic man crashed out for no reason other than he could have. But yeah, the black eye is also kind of funny. That he had after he said he got it from his son. A lot of people think it came because he joined a secret club. But that's different. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about Musk leaving other than they left. I wish he stayed at the very least, but because I have a feeling DOGE is going to be sent into the shadow realm at some point. So, anyways, oh, that's it. Except for France. France, you are doing something wacky. What's weird about France is that they actually did a I probably should have plugged that up. But they the orange and black site, they're out of France now because it requires age verification. Which I thought was which, for some reason French people are actually caring about that when, the rest of the country is going to crap. But that's because like literally they had riots like a little bit ago. They had riots basically like yeeting through. It's like, nah. I'm just surprised. But what I'm more surprised is I was like, well, America's done a lot too. Yeah, no, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. I don't know why I'm always on this depressing train of like, yeah, I hope people do better. But it's like usually what I say is like if I'm what do I say? It's like if I'm prove me wrong, because if you prove me wrong, there's a high chance that what you're doing is good, and if you prove me right, well, you're doing something that I don't wish you did. But so this is a map. I forgot where is this? I wrote it somewhere. No, I didn't. But this is one map I found of the United States so far. So I think this is so how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So this is 27 states, which is over half do not have an age verification. That's a sad number. And then we go into the other one and it's 32. So 5 more states must have done it. Excuse me. Which, hold on, 5 other states. Oof, there's one more, but it's like that's kind of sad that Oklahoma's done it. Thank you for doing that, Oklahoma. But it's like it's so weird that France, which is like a horrible problem with immigration, they can deal with the orange and black site, but the United States, nah, things will be fine. So, anyways, so that's going to do us for it. That is the end of Theology Matters Interesting Takes. You don't need to worry about an intro for that or an outro for that, but you do need to worry about the intro for Interpreting Heresy. So, we're going to quickly go into the more faith-filled more sections. So, let me boom, 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 and get it locked in. So, we have, once I click everything in, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, 1 second. Interpreting Heresy, let's go.
Up from all of this filth, up from this violence, up from this indifference of courts, up to the hidden battlements of eternity, up to God.
Okay, so we're in Interpreting Heresy. So we're going to start with, what are we starting with? Apple. Apple did a fun thing. Apple did a fun thing. So supposedly, Apple did a scene in a new series, which I don't remember what it was called. But, wrong follow. They did a blasphemies.
Oh, that was upside down.
Nope. I haven't seen the footage yet, so let me find the original. So it's from. Okay, this just tells me it's just from a show. Yeah, it doesn't say, just Apple. But let me share the screen with that. So we got John Hamm and some other woman that I've never seen before. So we have that supposedly they break into a church, open the tabernacle, and snack on the Eucharist. So that, yeah, definitely sacrilege of the light manner. So let's.
Oh, that was upside down.
It's in. Now watch. You just give it a. And I begin the lock into Jesus' house. This is a church. It's a house of worship. You have to be very respectful.
Bruh. That's a surprise. So, okay, I'm doing that for more copyright reasons. I'm stopping just so nothing happens later. But that's such a. They just need to tell you that it's like they're in control in that manner. Like it's like, no, we gotta be quiet, and then it's like, and then they're gonna start doing it. It's like, we all know you're gonna.
Sit. You sit here. All right, just I'm gonna go. I have to run near it. Stay here. Shh. What are you doing? Shh.
Bruh, no. Okay. This is so unrealistic, one, because that is locked. It is. If the front door is locked, that is totally locked. I do not doubt, or I have high belief that that is locked. That cannot be opened that easy. He just went, shh. No, no. So you already know that this is like some. I bet you anything it came from some like cradle Catholic who probably says stuff on Twitter like, oh well, I grew up in Catholic church and you Catholics are, da 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 da.
You are going to hell.
Yes. Tell me.
Wow, they just they're not playing around. They know exactly. They know exactly the audience and other stuff.
Something I don't know. Crackers for your gym.
See you there.
Right?
Bye.
Crackers. Why is it literally the other time I've heard the Eucharist referred to as cracker was what was it? That priest. Gosh, what was it? The priest that bit the woman because the lesbian wanted the Eucharist. And literally the priest bit her, which good on him, because what were they doing? They were going to receive, and she I think literally went into the cup to pull one out, and he bit her. And then the police were called, and then the body cam footage was just funny. Man, that's a while ago. When did that happen? That happened had to be like a year. I think I was in engineering still when that happened, so it had to be like at least a year. But yeah. So, I forgot this since I'm here. Here's it again. So they have your friends and neighbors. That's where it is. That's the film in the Apple. So snacks on, yeah, it is consecrated too because it's in that. So. Wow.
No?
Well, that's just disturbing. We're gonna. Okay, that's even more disturbing. We're gonna move on. Oh, sorry. I did not realize that was gonna go down in that alley. So yeah, not only do we have, good grief, there's like a lot. There's a lot in that 2.5 minutes. Good grief. It's not surprising though. It's just social or not secular society. It's not surprising. Again, I have to ask, why is it always a Catholic church? Again, why the Catholic Church? Why is it always targeted for this stuff? Okay. So kind of staying on still the church. So we have hopefully nope, we're not dealing with that anymore. Stay out of frame. Stay out of frame. So there's this other video from this NFL quarterbacker I found online, and I had some thoughts about it. So from Catholics for Catholics. So what's his name? Jake McQuaid. He confronted the priest. And so supposedly what this is going to say, because I just don't want to play the video again, is that someone supposedly had watched something from the black and orange site from the church computers. And so this is him in mass. Saying stuff. So in the middle of mass, he's stating the allegations, and he's trying to get results. So I give him points for going and talking to the priest. I give him negative Catholic points for doing it in the middle of mass. Like, I Mass, you're not even supposed, like, in the sanctuary, and by the sanctuary, I mean the place that usually has the tabernacle. You know, like in my church, there's like a lobby area, then you go through 2 doors and you enter the sanctuary. In the sanctuary, no one should be talking. And I say that mainly towards boomers because, let's be fair, it's mostly all y'all. Because I don't know why, too, there's like the baptismal font. Everyone like gets to the baptismal font and still talks at the baptismal front. And it's like, you're like this close. You're literally like, I could get out of frame and back in 2 seconds before y'all notice that anything would happen. Like, I'm just anyways. It's like, it's that short of a distance and you can't just walk out. The doors are wide open. Like, just I need like 4 feet, 4 yards. That's all I'm asking for. I sound like a boomer there. But it's like, it's like, it's so important that we keep the reverence in the church. And it's like, it's like the moment that mass ends, it's like, oh, it's like, shh, there's prayer going off. Like, can you not reserve until it's out, until, good grief. Yeah. Until we're outside? Can you not wait? The answer is no, but and then again, this is coming from the same boomers that can't stay for mass the entire hour. They leave after communion because, of course, they do. So, anyways, but I do think he shouldn't be saying that in mass. If he wanted to start talking about it, sure. I'm not gonna throw him aside for doing that. I think that's honorable what he did, but at the same time, I have to call out the prudence in that, in the fact that it was prudent, but poorly applied. Like, totally had talked to him. I think that's justified. Just not in the middle of mass. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he yells a bit, and then he's kicked out by the police. So anyways, so now we're going to talk about Vance real quick. JD Vance, the bro that was mentored by Peter Thiel, whatever. So
Okay, so
let me flip him. So this video, he got in trouble because of he went to the Vatican. So this is after the Vatican, I think.
I am a Catholic. I believe that he, meaning Pope Leo, is actually the shepherd of 1.4 billion Catholics. And so there are things like bowing before him, kissing the ring, that are signs of respect for a spiritual father, okay? But on the world stage, I'm not there as JD Vance, a Catholic parishioner. I'm there as the Vice President of the United States and the leader of the President's delegation to the Pope's inaugural Mass. And so, it was interesting. Some of the protocols about how I respond to the Holy Father were much different than how I might respond to the Holy Father. How might you might respond to the Holy Father purely in your capacity as a citizen. And so that's just like one very concrete observation about the tensions.
Is there action?
Okay, so from what showing other stuff. We're prelude or sneak peek. So what he really got in trouble was for that he didn't kiss the ring or anything. Yeah, sorry, JD, but again, 5 years of a Catholic. You're Catholic all the time. It's kind of like I'm white all of the time. It's like I'm a man all the time. Yeah, pretty sure. I'm wearing pants. Chill. It's like you just are you're supposed to be Catholic at all points. You're not supposed to be this, oh well, because I'm in America, because I'm the vice president, that somehow voids out your Catholicism. Nah, no. And I know full well that someone probably told you, someone had to have told you that wasn't gonna fly. And and it's not like I can say, oh, his wife was gonna say something because she's, I think, still a Hindu. So, yeah, that's practically it. Like, you're Catholic all the time. Like, all Catholics should know that. Is like, we're Catholic 24/7. We just are. We just are. We're Catholic 24/7. We're not like, every action we do, regardless of practically anything, we're still guilty of any of those said actions. Now, of course, there's a lot of like we could talk about the actions, whether or not they were mortal and venial, yada yada yada. But we're getting into some technicals that we don't need to. And honestly, I'm going through. Does anyone really want me to go through the Tulsa talks? Taco talks? Does anyone really want me to go through that? If so, I'll skip down to the last thing. Does anyone? I don't know how I want to do it. It's almost 6 minutes, so I think I might just move on. Leave that for some other day. Maybe do it another day when I don't have other stuff. So I think I'll leave that actually. Hold on, let me write a note then about that. Okay, cool. Well, that does us for interpreting heresy then, since I know we were talking about the Eucharist before though. Yeah, screw it, I'll do it. Taco Talks. If you see them on Twitter, again, I get a lot of my stuff from Twitter nowadays, which is ironic. And thank you for the 6 that are on Twitter. And the one of you is on YouTube. I appreciate you. But so he's recording another video in his car, like a lib, where he's talking about the Eucharist. And Voice of Reason is down there. So, excuse me. We're going to briefly go into it once I bring it up. So I'm just going to play it, stop, say stuff, all that jazz. So we're going to take kind of a raw impressions format into this. And then after this, we are done with interpreting heresy. We'll move on to Lament of a Warden, and then I'll open it to chat. If anyone has anything then to say there, say it. And then after that, I'm going to go, well, I'm probably not going to bed, but y'all got the drift. I'm out of here. I'll catch you all playing. If you all play Gambit with Destiny, I'll be there, or Crucible. But other than that, that's the game plan for the rest of it. So if you got any questions, if you're on Twitter, head to the YouTube. Or I think you can write on the Twitter too. But if you went to the YouTube, that would help me out from there, and it would just fill up the text box. If you have any questions about the politics or something, just write that in there. Probably right now would be perfect time. So that would give you enough time that it gets sent through. So anyways, let's look at Tulsa Talk.
What happens when a Protestant?
Okay, so I'm actually going to just keep this here.
Takes the Eucharist?
Nothing.
If a Protestant were
Okay, well, that's falsely lie. Even as Catholics, if you take it unworthingly, it's still bad because there is that Paul line that Voice of Reason is about to say about specifically because of their unworthiness, the sin, but even as a Protestant, because you do not understand what you are consuming, then it is ill-mannered that you should partake in the body and blood because you do not believe that it is a body and blood. You just believe it to be a cracker and whatnot. So anyways, I started it over, so he's
What happens when a Protestant takes the Eucharist?
Nothing.
If a Protestant were to take the Catholic Eucharist, they are receiving the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ. If a Protestant goes to a Catholic church and gets in line, in the communal line, and goes in and receive the Eucharist, they've received the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ. But the problem is that they have done so in an illicit manner, and it could actually put their soul in danger if they are doing it with full knowledge and full consent of the will. If it's just an accident and they just don't know better, then God can, will not charge it to their account because they're invincibly ignorant. But if they do it on purpose, when they know that they shouldn't, they're actually putting themselves in grave danger.
So the Catholic Eucharist is transubstantiation. What they're teaching is that they are saying some magic words in Latin that is changing the actual...
Tell me you haven't been to a Catholic Mass with me. Like, with all due respect to the Protestant Brotherhood, not only in Latin, like, you could say English. Like, unless he's meaning for some reason that when the priest is like, unless the priest is saying some Latin that the rest of us don't hear, but I'm pretty sure, I don't know. English should work, so I don't know why he's saying, "Oh, speaking Latin, bruh." Say again. I don't understand. Also, like, I hate to say this, but like, President apologetics, it's like some of y'all make my brain hurt purely because it's like I'm trying to understand what you're trying to say, because some of it is I don't even like, you're going into a place that I don't think anyone would go to but you for some reasons. So anyways.
Bread into the literal flesh of Jesus and the wine into the literal blood of Jesus, and then they eat and drink God. This is extraordinarily unbiblical.
See, I love how this must have been the video I was talking about, but it's like I always love that people are like, "Oh, it's unbiblical." Okay, John 6, like we were gonna throw that in. We're gonna talk about Protestants saying like it's unbiblical, bro. We literally I'm not even gonna say we wrote it, but like ignore the compiling that we did. But like we're gonna say it's unbiblical, bro. Some of your stuff was unbiblical, can be unbiblical too. But how are we going to prove that? And the question is always going to be, well, let's look in the Bible. But that's what everyone says. So it's like there has to be something else. But anyways, continue. Oh, this is a minute. Come on. This is how I feel like when I was listening to the pastor.
At the Last Supper, when Jesus said, "This is my body," they were performing a Passover Seder, which means that they were performing a meal that they had done for about 1,000 years prior. See, the very first Passover, they had to sacrifice a lamb. What they started doing was they started to represent that lamb with bread, specifically matzah bread. Now, matzah bread is this bread that was...
Okay, I don't know if that's true, but I thought... Bread. I thought it was still lambs, like, because I remember for Passover, they had to take the lamb in, it had to have no blemishes and yada, yada, yada. And they lived with it in their house for like 6 days. Or there was a time frame that it lived in the house with them, and then they consumed it later. Like they literally cooked up like their pet, so to speak, right? Like it was that type of behavior. So I don't know where he's getting the bread was just main focus, but I could be missing stuff that I'm unaware of. But I would have thought it would be lamb because. Okay, I'll let him continue.
Was characterized in very specific ways, where it was done very symbolically, where the bread had to be unleavened, meaning it could have no yeast, it couldn't rise. So that was symbolic of there being no sin. Further than that, what they would do is they would take a little blade type of thing, and they would score, they would scar, they would poke holes and pierce this bread all over the entire thing. That would also prevent it from inflating or from rising. It would stay pretty flat. They would cook it at a very high temperature, and that would let the steam burst out of these ports. That way it stayed as flat as possible. And then during that heating process, it would leave all these little brown marks all over it that would be like scars.
Oh, I've had this bread. This is good. They're way better than a saltine cracker. This is like so much better than a saltine. I remember me and my family, we found some on clearance for like $2 each, and we grabbed 2 boxes. Me and my brother, we were eating them, and like we were like, man, these are good. They were better than regular saltines. And then of course it was like a thick ass square, right? Anyways, that's all I'm really gonna say about it. So because I assume he's right. I'm not. Yeah.
They would literally look like scars or scores. There would be these marks all over it. And so this bread that they'd been eating for about 1,000 years before Jesus incarnated, this bread was in representative of something that was sinless, pierced, and...
Hold on, I just want to look at that. Matzah bread, right? Is that what you just call it? Matzah bread. There we are. Okay, I'm going to hit history. Let's see what this is. Jewish tradition, blood of friction. Oh, consumed during Passover. Okay. So I guess he's right. No, that's the Passover thing. Okay. I don't know why he's mentioning the bread, though. This is new, at least. I'll at least say that. I still think he's wrong because there's a whole thing about the John 6.
Scarred.
Cool.
So when Jesus is saying, "This is my body," Jesus is saying this thing that you've been doing for 1,000 years, this has been pointing to tonight. This has been pointing to me. Jesus is the Passover lamb, the lamb without blemish, the lamb that could not have a single bone in his body broken.
Like, he's right. He's probably going to say something that's going to change that, but like, he's not wrong. Like, He was the one to come. Like that's why Judaism falls, is because of whatchamacallit, this or him. Because they were waiting for him to come. Like literally that's the whole point and why Peter was wanting Elijah and Moses, because Moses was the law and he wanted so the Jews were wanting the law, and then Moses. Elijah was like the warrior, and he was going to like take out Rome, and that was what they were hoping for. And then, of course, the Transfiguration happened, and Peter was like, "Oh, we'll set up 3 tents, one for each of you," and then it's just like Jesus is the only way, and that was what God, the Father, had initiated. So I also like that. Though, again, I'd like to point out that the Bible has more than one connectiveness to the Eucharist. Like, like John 6, again, he is completely ignoring that, and I have a feeling he knows it. That is the face of a man who really needs to also grow a beard, because damn, that is clean shaven. As I didn't do that for I've only been doing this for 3, so. And I'm still growing some of it in, but that's because I have late bloomer genes. My mom is to blame, but thankfully I won't probably have balding when I'm 30. It'll be 50 something. For crying out loud, my mom, she has a few gray hairs, but it's you could hardly tell, and she hasn't dyed it or anything. It just hasn't happened, and it's yay, that's what I want, and she's nearing her 60s, so it's I hope I gain some of that, because if I gain my dad's, you're not gonna right out here, gone. Day happens, I'm probably gonna shave my head, which funny enough he does. So, anyways, because it's either that or a hair transplant, and honestly, I rather not. But anyways, that's a creepy face.
Had to be the firstborn. This is why John the Baptist points out Jesus and says, "Behold the Lamb of God." See, Jesus wasn't doing transubstantiation. Jesus was explaining to the 12.
I don't. I'm not even gonna dignify that response other than just the massive disappointment that is just across this face right now. Bro. Come on. I keep giving up because I don't know how to start that. Jesus wasn't doing transfiguration. It's yeah, because he hasn't died yet, you stupid twerp. This is when I was complaining about, what was it? Was I complaining about that today? Was I doing that on this 2-hour stream? Did I complain about the Mary thing and how people were using Corinthians to be Mary should have been? Yeah, I said that Mary should have been Shaq and Joseph, and he didn't, or she didn't, and because of that, Corinthians, 1 Corinthians something, she's under that threat, and it's it was after her. But anyways, we're only halfway through. No, we're not. I have 3 more minutes. Gosh, bro, why? Jesus wasn't doing. Hold on, we're gonna revert it back just for 20 seconds, just so I can. Man, I wish I was brain rot now.
Says, "Behold the Lamb of God." See, Jesus wasn't doing transubstantiation. Jesus.
Ladies and gentlemen, Protestant apologetics. It's really hard, with all due respect to my Protestant brethren, it's really hard to take you all seriously when some of your top warriors make me want to just not listen to any of you. It's hard to listen to some of you when some of your greatest warriors are just, gosh, making my brain die. I lost brain cells again because of listening to this. So anyways,
Jesus was explaining to the 12 what he would often do, which the Bible tells us that when he spoke publicly, he would do so in parables, in metaphors, in symbolism. But whenever he was with the 12, he would explain to them what these things meant. And so right here, he was explaining to them this metaphor that the Jewish people had been doing for about 1,000 years prior. So when he says, "This is my body," he's not transubstantiating it. He's saying, this thing that you've been doing, you're going to do it differently. Because what you've been doing is remembering the Passover. Now you're going to do this to remember me. The same thing with the blood. See, there used to be 4 glasses of wine. And that third glass is called the cup of redemption. And that cup of redemption, that's what Jesus held whenever he said, "This is my blood, which is poured out for you." That this is the blood of the new covenant. Jesus was not transubstantiating. They were not committing cannibalism. They definitively were not drinking blood. What they were doing was something beautiful. Jesus was revealing the thing that they had been doing to celebrate the Passover for so long.
Okay, I'm gonna stop there because he said something that I could actually refer to. Because I'll give him credit. He's saying some stuff, right stuff, and then he's saying some stuff that's questionable. But when he's talking, he talked briefly. Hold on, let me send it back. It should just be this. It should just be this, and then we should be okay. Hold on, right about there. No, too far, but we'll.
Whenever he said, "This is my blood," which is
okay. Yes, it is his blood. You know how we know that? Because in John 6, he said it, that you must eat the flesh of man and drink his blood. And everyone went, nah, man. You're just playing with us, right? And then Jesus is just like, no. Yeah, eat my flesh and drink my blood. Nah, yeah, man, the gig's over. The gig's over. You will eat my flesh and drink my blood. Bro, this joke isn't funny. Oh, it's not a joke. Well, I'm just going to go. Like, that happened. This is why I'm saying he's just completely ignoring John 6 because he knows the moment he brings it up, he's going to lose. But like, oh gosh, what was he saying? Sorry, I spent so much effort on the physical exertion of leaving my space. What was he saying? He was talking about the blood. I'll just
poured out for you. That this is the blood of the new covenant.
Oh yeah, the blood. It's his blood. Yeah, of course it's his blood because that you needed it. Like he said, "This is my blood," and he didn't deny that it was symbolic. Like they thought he was cannibalic in that way. So, anyways, it's not a symbol. He's making it sound like it's a symbol. It's a metaphor. Tomato. It's wrong regardless.
Jesus was not transubstantiating. They were not committing cannibalism. They definitively were not drinking blood. What they were doing was something beautiful. Jesus was revealing the thing that they had been doing to celebrate the Passover for so long that it's always been pointing to him. It's always been a prophetic foreshadow of God himself, incarnating and sacrificing himself, being sinless, being pierced, and being scarred. This is why it's so clearly written in John 6 that whenever Jesus is saying that you must eat his flesh and drink his blood to inherit eternal life, he literally goes on to explain that believing in him is eating his flesh, that the will of God...
Wait, hold on. I'll be back. Just give me 2 seconds. Okay. If he's about to do what I think he did, is he completely ignored the bread of life discourse, and this is probably like the verse right after it. So we're gonna take a look at John, shall we? If I'm right, I'm not gonna say anything. We're just gonna move on. Because of course he's doing this because he wants to avoid what I literally just reviewed to y'all and said that he literally had people walk away because he was double downing. 36, 35. What do I have it at? Oh, Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger, and whoever believes in me will never thirst. But I told you that although you have seen me, you do not believe. Everything that the Father gives me will come to me, and I will not reject anyone who comes to me, because I came down from heaven not to do my will, but the will of the one who sent me. And this is the will of the one who sent me, that I should not lose anything of what he gave me, but that I should raise it on the last day. He said 40. So for this is the will of my Father, that that everyone who sees the Father and believes in him may have eternal life, and I shall raise him on the last day. And then literally the next verse, sorry, we're getting into that. The Jews murmured about him because he said, I am the bread that came down from heaven. And they said, is this not Jesus, the son of Joseph? Do we not know his mother and father? Then how can he say, I have come down from heaven? Jesus answered and said to him, stop murmuring among yourselves. No one can come to me. I guess it wasn't going where I thought it was. Never mind. But Bread of Life's discourse. Yeah, but he did skip a good chunk of it. I'm surprised he didn't put 60. Because that's where it goes into the words of eternal life. But okay. Gosh, that smile's creepy. Sorry, this is the first time I just looked up. Like, sorry, hold on. Let me do this properly. Oh gosh. That's fine. Anyways, let's continue.
Is that you would believe in him. See, the Roman Catholic Church having this concept, having this idea, going about this way of just this disgusting, heretical, blasphemous ritual, that's where you have that problem. Because the Bible does teach that those who are unworthy to take the Lord's Supper, they take it in vain, they take it in mockery, they take it blaspheming God. And the reality is, if you're a Christian, you are allowed to partake of the Lord's Supper, of communion. But the way that the Roman Catholic does it, not only are they not Christians, but they are all...
Oh, wow. That's not a... Gosh, bro. Adding that in as like it was nothing. He said that like it was nothing. Like it was just a fact. It's like if he said the sky was blue. Like that's how like flatlined he said that. There was no like sadness or anything. He just called us out. Bro, there is... Hold on. I'm going full screen for like 20 seconds. Not on you. Not on you. Hold on. Literally, there is... Hold on. Let me figure out how am I going to do this. Nope. There we are. So you can't see it. Screw it. See, actually, you can. Yeah, you can see it now. There is a crucifix right there. I'm not a Christian. Brother, there's a crucifix there. And you think that's there for show? For crying out loud, you think that there's a picture of him himself. Oh, there's his mother with him. Oh, look, there's St. Michael. You know why St. Michael's here? Well, that one's there to keep the demons out of the door, that's to keep it out of the window, but that's a different story. You know why St. Michael's here? Is because he's my patron. He's my confirmation saint. I'm such a normie, in that manner. But like, bruh. Anyways, I feel like I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah, you know why the Crusader is there? You know why I got this Crusader helmet? You know why I got it? Is because the Crusaders were dope dudes. You know what religion the Crusaders were? You know what you LARPers of Protestants who use the Crusades to demean yourselves against the Muslims? You know what religion they were? They ate the Eucharist, brother. Okay, sorry. I crashed out. I'm okay with that, though.
Also doing it in an incredibly blasphemous way. See, there is a physical presence or a spiritual presence. The physical presence is absolutely nonsense. The spiritual presence is always there. The reason why is because...
Gosh, this makes my brain hurt. Boy, why do you have such you have such nice words coming out of your mouth? If only it wasn't for Protestant apologetics. Gosh. I don't even know what to respond to that because I haven't really heard from anything of that for reals. I haven't actually heard anything of that per se. So
Where two or more gather in my name, there I shall be also. Jesus tells us.
bro. Okay. That's communion. Yeah, communion is nothing more than get together and hold hands. What are we, who's from Whoville? Gosh darn. I'm gonna break. Bro's making me angry, so I can get sad when I do Lament of a Warden.
That. And whenever you're doing the Lord's Supper, whenever you're doing communion, you must do it with at least one other person. And therefore, Jesus is present when you're doing communion, but he's not physically present, and you're not committing cannibalization against God. That is the distinction. Jesus was explaining a metaphor, not creating something new, not creating something different. He was telling them why they've been doing it and saying that now you're going to do this to remember me.
I'll let him finish. Hold on.
Don't do it to remember the Passover anymore. You're doing it to remember the fulfillment of the Passover, which is the Lamb of God being slaughtered for the forgiveness of sins of all those who would believe in him. I hope this made sense. Let me know what's next. Follow me on X, YouTube, and Instagram. Go support me over on Patreon. God bless.
Nope. Quiet you. Okay. So, gosh, bro, bro, what are you doing? Okay, so before we end this, before we leave, for me to do Lament of a Warden, I want to do one thing. Shh, get away. Thank you. I want to go through John 6 briefly. The one part that he didn't want to talk about, because the moment that he does makes you go, maybe. So we'll talk about the bread of life discourse. So this just starts with John 6:22. So the next day, the crowd, they remained. I'll just read. The next day, the crowd that remained across the sea saw that there had been only one boat there. Okay, I'm going to skip somewhat of that. They found him. Where do I actually want to start for this? Here we are, 32. So Jesus said to them, Amen, amen, I say to you, it was not Moses who gave the bread from heaven. My Father gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is that which comes down from the heaven and gives life to the world. So they said to him, Sir, give us this bread always. Jesus said to them, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never hunger, and whoever believes in me will never thirst. But I told you that although you have seen me, you do not believe. Everything that the Father gives me will come to me, and I will not reject anyone who comes to me. Am I reading what he said? I am. I already read this part. Here we are, 52. The Jews quarreled among themselves, saying, How can this man give us his flesh to eat? He says, Unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, not a symbol, his blood specifically. That sounded like Stitch. Where was it? Has eternal life, and I will raise him on the last day. For my flesh is true food, and my blood is true drink. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me, and I in him. Just as the living Father sent me, and I have life. Skipping. Okay, so then many of his disciples who were listening said, This saying is hard. So I'm at the words of eternal life. So this is 60 of John 6. This saying is hard. Who can accept it? So he basically goes through it again. Sorry, I'm just skipping because there's just John 6 is thick. I've told you. So anyways, at the end, as a result of this, many of his disciples returned to their former way of life and no longer accompanied him. Jesus then said to the 12, Do you also want to leave? Which Peter eventually says, No, you have the words of life. And then while the 12 became known. So then the 12 became the 12. So yeah. How interesting, right? How interesting that is the case. I thought there was something here. Okay. Either way. So, but yeah, again, he just ignored a lot of John 6. He brought in like 7 verses and thought he won. Okay, where are we now? Oh yeah, last bit. Lament of a Warden. So let me pop open something else. Excuse me. That's on me. Nope. That's good music, but no. I need to figure out why I can't do this in the proper way. Oops, sorry. I blocked myself out. So, welcome to Lament of a Warden. Basically, this is the segment I'm allowed to just spiel whatever I wish. Any thoughts I've had about this and that. So, but I wanted to start with the reason that I am the way I am. Because it actually happened one night very much like tonight. And by that, I just mean that it's late. So I'll set the theme. Sophomore year. So this happened sophomore year. So this is about 3-ish years ago, right? We're out of COVID. I get a job at a tutoring place, and I start doing that in college. And I do that for at least a semester. The next semester, or at the end of the semester, my boss starts talking to me. She was teaching a class, so she didn't have as much time to focus on us. And like this was like the kind of first time I had been seeing her more regularly. She brings me into the office because so I started talking about that when I was in high school, we had a organization called SGA, Student Straight Gay Alliance, which for some reason in Collinsville just had a buttload of gays. I don't know what was in the water there, but there was a lot that I didn't see. But what's interesting is I made the joke that we should have SAG, Students Against Gays, and I don't think and that didn't go over well because I said it in the presence of a gay. So yeah, totally got into some trouble there. And so I got on in-house probation, like it was a one-time thing, right? Until it wasn't. So I think everyone's stopped taking my any crap, supposed crap, right? Math for some reason is very liberal, just like chess. For some reason, chess is very liberal coded. But what was interesting is I go, I'm in my job, I'm on the probation. Well, eventually things happened where I was on that probation, right? So it was like, as long as I don't say anything else again, we're fine. Everyone's going to be walking away with nothing. Well, didn't get through the 2 weeks. The Friday, I was so close. The last Friday, just one more day. She got me again because I had said something else again, which I'm kind of a yapper a little here and there. So it's like when she's like, you said something, I'm like, you're going to have to be more specific. I say a lot of things. I say stuff to myself. So like whether or not I said it in your presence is really, I don't know. So I say this because I'm there like and I'm saying this story, right? She puts me on big boy probation. So this is like she basically told me like you were about to be fired if I had put you on real probation, but she didn't have a reason to get me canned. I have the letter that she had given me where it basically said like you do your job very effectively. It's just the problem is you're bigoted against transgenders and gays. Not really the own that she thought it would be, but as a pastor's wife, which made me cringe in more levels than one. Because at one point, I remember one conversation, she was like, it's like, well, I'm a Christian too. And I looked at her, and I know full well because she says she's a pastor wife. I'm like, okay, well, I know full well, then that means you're not Catholic. I legitimately looked at her and I told her, like, with all due respect, ma'am, that doesn't sway me. and she looks stunned. So thank you. So anyway, so I'm having this like big problem with my job now because basically I'm on the chopping block. I'm about to get fired. So I hold in I think so the weekend goes by and I'm stressing the hell out of going to work because I worked like 15 hours. So I was probably in the place more than everyone else, which means more opportunities to say dumb stuff. So what I did was, I'm stressing out, I'm doing my stuff, but I'm just thinking like, holy crap, I'm about to get fired and other stuff. And for like $11 an hour to 11.50, I actually got upgraded, so I was 11.50. That's pretty good pay for, about 30 hours or 60 hours a month. That's pretty good pay. Like I think when I did the math, I made about 5K at the end of the year. So job was very profitable. Well, I'm stressing about this, and so I don't tell anyone for the weekend and Monday. Eventually, I have a conversation, I think, with my brother, and my brother, he's somewhat like myself, but um, he was like, just be careful about what you're saying now. And then eventually, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna tell my parents. And so I tell them, and it's interesting because I had my parents, they basically said at one point, like, just kind of like, just get your neck down. Don't say anything aggressive or confrontational. And of course, it's me. So it's like, I'm not that type of way. Well, I'm there. And this is like Tuesday, right? This is Tuesday. And I'm stressed out. I'm still stressed out. I'm stressed. I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm going to work and I'm fearful that it may be my last day. Every day I'm walking in and like I show up for I think 2 days and I'm like I'm going to be gone and I'm the only one responsible. And so I'm stressing about this hard. So eventually, my church or the student center at OSU, they've got mass at 9:09, and the reason that it's 9:09 is because Father was going to have it at 9 for candlelit mass, but he does 09 because there was one student that was like, "I need 9 minutes to get over for it," and so he made it 9:09. So we have mass at like 9:09, and so at the time St. John's was actually demolished, and it was getting rebuilt. But, like, it was, like, a building made in, like, the '60s or so. So, obviously, it's old, decrepit, it needed to have a facelift, and it had a big one. Um, so, that happens. So, we're using, St. Francis Xavier way in Stillwater. We're using new St. Francis Xavier, though, not old St. Francis, which I was unaware that there was an old and a new until I went to the, old, and I liked old, and then it got demolished because they sold the church, which I was kind of sad. There was some stained glass in there. I hope they took that out. But my point being, we're there because they allowed us, the parishioners and parish St. Francis Xavier, to let the St. John's people use the church and the place to do St. John's events. So I'm there in mass. So I show up for adoration because adoration's like an hour before. And so I show up for adoration and I'm sitting on the left side. On the left side, in front of me, there's a big statue of Mary. And Mary is like, she's big. She's like a main feature. They also have like in the middle, they have like 4 other saints, but and then of course the tabernacle and the cross is way up there. But I'm sitting in front of Mary and I am stressing hard, and I swear this was probably the time. Like I've prayed before, but this one I felt like prayer was really prayer. Like I felt that it felt like I could feel it. I can't really explain it because it just was. And so I'm like, I am under attack. I am not going to be able to walk away from this. I am surrounded by my enemy. I'm not going to be walking away from this fight with all of my teeth in a row. And as I was thinking about this, like in later years, or I guess I'll talk about that later. But like I did think about it later. It's like I don't know, but I feared like I was asking God and somewhat like mom to like let me give up. Let me submit, right? Because like I'm submitting to the Pope and everything, right? In the church. But it's like let me submit to this woman because my life is being very much horrendous. And so I'm there in front of, Mary doing all this. So anyways, so the reason though that I state where we are is because usually that St. John's priest would be in. Well, he was currently out that night. So who was in? Well, that, my listeners, was, once I show it, was this guy who who transferred, but he was there at the time.
In Boulder, we have a school, and so we walk through the hallways of the school, ringing a bell, getting the kids notified that a new pope had.
So that is not the priest of the Catholic Center. What did happen, though, is that he was there to fill in for the guy. And he normally has like that. He's like the head pastor of that church. So he comes in for mass because we have mass go on. And so I'm still there. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to do something. Like, I'm afraid, like, not only I'm going to get fired, but that I have to quit because I know I'm probably not going to last. And, life, it's just like I am dealing with a lot coming my way. And so then I get this, I'm there for mass, right? And so he walks in, not like this, but you get the gif. So he walks in and he does his mass and he goes and starts doing his homily. And I'll never forget the two things. I don't remember everything in the homily, but I remember two things that were so needed. I swear, this is the one time, like this was like the time that quick prayer happened that I remember like offhand, because it was just that time where it was like I needed it and I got it. And he did a homily and he went through it, and I forgot what day it was, but he went through the homily, started talking, and he talked about two things. He said two things. He said, one, be proud that you're Catholic, but not so much, right? And that was totally needed in my life because I was willing to take a step back. And then he said the second thing, it's so easy in our world to walk away. It's so easy in our world to just say, no, that's fine. But we are not called to do that. And that was needed today, right? It was needed that day. I needed him to say those words. And not necessarily him, but I needed the verification of keep fighting on. And I remember that to this day, because without it, I don't know what I'd be. Because I went through a lot of crap. And because of that, it didn't just become, because a lot of people, like I wrote about this a little bit later during my senior year briefly. And I mentioned it's like, a lot of people have a prayer life and other stuff, right? But a prayer life is one thing. But the application of that faith, because you have faith and that is why you pray, but without the application of the said faith, that is so like needed. And I just went through all of that, and it's like I'm thankful that Father is it Brian O'Brien? Sean O'Brien, right? No, frick. Hold on. I can't believe I just know it was Father O'Brien. Yeah, I knew it. It was Father Brian O'Brien, right? Because I thought that was weird because, it's Brian O'Brien. But anyways, but it's like I'm so thankful to Father Brian O'Brien, because without him, and honestly, probably without our lady, backing me up, I probably was not going to be what I am today. Because I don't know how to describe this like fight that I've had. It is the starting point has been after this mass. I can tell you, right? You don't see it, but you can see. Oops, sorry. You can see there's a doorway, right? You see the doorway. You see it a little bit behind his shoulder. That was where I was talking to a. He went through RCAA, but I was talking to him because his brother was a coworker, and he had made a joke saying that like I was going to get canned by 2 people, and so I'm like, "Were you serious about that?" And he was like, "No." And then, but he was like, "But I'll ask my brother what they think about you." Turns out everyone's talking about me behind my back, so go fig. Which is why I'm like, it's nothing new. I'm an outsider. I'm a black sheep. Cool, but it's like, I just from that day, war became anew, and it's like, and especially now, because that started the tipping point toward like, because next year was junior year, and that's when I decided that I'm probably gonna have to get in a political fight because things are just how they are, and then I just jump into it now. But it's like I'm so thankful to Father Brian O'Brien, because without him, and you should go. Sorry. Go follow him on Twitter. He's yeah, if you're most of you are on my Twitter. He's in my profile. I follow him now because he's now at the uh Basilica, I think. He's in Holy Family Cathedral. Sorry, that's not Basilica. So he moved last year. I think the year I left college. So yeah, it's been about a year or so, but he's a great guy. He does some of his homilies online. He posted one that I still haven't watched because I think I was traveling or something. But again, I needed that in so like super like I needed it with, and it wasn't even a joke. Like I needed it. Um, that day I needed someone to be there, and the Lord provides. But it's like I was in front of the Mary statue, so I'm just like, I wonder if Mom was listening. you know um so yeah, but it's like we need that in today's world too. We need the fight, and that's stuff I've been arguing since the day one of like really this channel, since it's gone political, is definitely go out there and make the world a better place. Like Gen Z, like I was talking with Tomi Lahren, we're all sucking off, or that sounds poorly. We're not, no, and no. We all are losing a battle. That's better. We're all losing this battle, but we only if we allow it. But we still have fight in us because we still breathe, and because we still move, and because of that, we should fight. And that is something that I kind of learned from Father O'Brien. So, anyways, I just thought this would be a fun tale to say. So yeah, because I went through my own crap with that. And then of course I was in meetings with the boss like all the time, but I survived until the end of the year. So impressive. So a bit impressive there, but I never wavered in what I thought. Like, because there was a trans guy there who I knew when he was a guy, who then became a they, and then became a she. And yeah, I dead named him in front of my boss, and she literally sent me an email to be like, "Why are you doing that?" And because like you should just be respectful. And I'm over here like, no. But yeah, well, that's it. That's all I'm really gonna say. Is I'm very glad, because events had to be filled where I didn't have my normal priest. I was there because sometimes I didn't go to all the way to candlelit mass purely because sometimes school got in the way, and it's like I needed to, but it's just like I needed someone to state, like, fight, especially since it seemed like I was abandoned. And I felt like somewhat like I was in Daniel. I was in the lion's den, and yet the lions became to cheer for me. So, anyways, that is going to do me for Lament of a Warden. So, other than that, I'm going to open it to chat then. If anyone wants to ask about something about politics or maybe something that happened tonight. But yeah, it's kind of late, but I'll let it slide. I give this like 3 hours. So it's like if I'm out of 3 hours, but I don't care if we go to like 12:30 or something. But so if anyone has anything they want to put in, let me know and I'll answer whatever you have to say. If no one wants to do anything, well, I can end the stream, but I'll give you all a couple seconds or a minute. But other than that, I'm done. So if you're if you just want to tell me like, oh, I have nothing to say. Thanks for the stream tonight. Like, I'll say this. If y'all are gonna peel out, thank you all for watching. Especially you 6 who are on Twitter. I remember last week there was only 1 of you, so I'm surprised there's 6 of you. So, yeah, yeah. If you're following me, that's well, thank you. Yeah, if you're following me, hit the follow, hit the subscribe, do all the stuff that their normal creators ask you to do. If you like what you heard, you can let me know. Again, hit the thumbs up, hit the heart if you're on Twitter, maybe. Yeah, hit the big red button, hit the follow button. What else am I missing? If you like what I'm hearing, next week I'm going to be joining forces with Just a Catholic. If you've seen him on YouTube. So yeah, he was on, gosh, what was it, a month or so ago with the drinking game, which funny enough, I think we're doing tomorrow. So he'll be double up on the channel within a week. So depending on the day, but actually, I guess it's just a week. Yeah, a week from today and tomorrow or next week. So anyways, but yeah, look out for the thumbnail for that. Again, hit the subscribe and that way you'll be notified of the subs so you can actually watch the content. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I'm really gonna say. So, like if you want to peace out, peace out. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, put them in. I still say that I've got 7. So again, if anyone's got anything. And if let me know, like, do you like that it was inverted? Would you rather? I kind of preferred just doing my main content and then doing some like extra filler stuff. But I don't know. Should it be filler? Somewhat, I wouldn't say filler. I say filler, but it's like non-typical stuff. I mainly had to do that because it's like big original ideas take time to think, and not all the times do I get everything connected to. And that's usually in here that's all connecting. So, yeah. So no one. I'll check Twitter. Let's see what's what. Are all 6 of you just watching the stream just to watch it? Oh, I didn't even mention. Sorry, I just realized I was on Twitter. I didn't even mention the. Are y'all still here? Y'all still here? Can I still make Yammer on? Yeah, looks like you're all still here. Yeah, there was what was it? What was his name? I saw something from the Catholic Christian the other day, and I don't want to gang up on him because I know like last week I used some of his clips, but he said something that like a lot of boomers say too. So again, we're gonna be back, but like he was talking to what was it, Rob from Avoiding Babylon, who seems like a chill dude, bit aggressive here and there, but it was interesting because he was talking about Laura Loomer, because Pope Leo had talked about removing the borders from your heart, right? And she was like, "Oh, I hate the Pope," and Rob's like, "Oh, of course you do because you're a Jew," and for some reason, Catholic Christian had written something that said, excuse me, he had written something about well, in response to Rob, he wrote something like, well, Jesus is a Jew. Notice is, which I'm like, okay, why does that matter? Like, why? Like, it's such a boomer thing to have to talk about Jesus's genealogy. Like, it's important for Matthew, because Matthew like starts out like briefly. I'm not going to read it purely because it takes a long time because it's like the 14 generations thing. But like, yeah, literally the entire thing is all like genealogy of to indicate that he's from the um line of David. Like, and that is why he writes it the way he does. That's why Matthew writes Matthew the way he does. But it's like, I don't understand how that like impacts the Jews of today. Because like, it's kind of like saying I'm like German. Does that mean I'm supposed to do something with Hitler? Like what is there anything like I'm my own man? Like I may be very German, and so that way I'm just loud. Sorry. Which is I had sorry. I have no idea why that's the case. And then it was like your redemption came from 2 Jews, and I'm like, that was another thing he said. I still don't understand the point of that. Like, what is the point of stating that Jesus and Mary was a Jew or is a Jew? Sorry, is because Jewish because being Jewish is also a religion and an ethnicity, which is very confusing. But it's like the one thing I say, because like I know we get into this whole qualm over like whether or not the Jews should convert to the faith, and it's like, yeah, they should, because it's a Jew, Gentile, and everyone else in between, circumcised, uncircumcised, um, you know, everyone belongs into the church. So I don't know why we're having this like topic of should we convert the Jews or anything of that ilk. Oop, I didn't realize that was a thing. Anyways, I think that was the end of the point, though. Like, I made a video talking about it earlier because it's like I don't understand why people were so caring about it, but it's like it's such a boomer thing to talk about it because like most Gen Z guys do not care. Like, it's like, oh, Jesus was Jewish, yeah, cool, but like we're talking about today's Jews, like they're completely different. Yeah, it's like don't talk to me about like all the Jewish people. Like we have not rabid, Rabbi Shmuley, isn't that his name? He sells dildos. And then, of course, we got the whole thing of like many Jews are in the adult industry for reasons of hate, aka to hate to hate him and everything that came from him. So, and there's a literal quote from it of like, we do it because we hate Catholicism. So, is that Twitter? Nope. Okay. Anyways, so I don't understand that, but cool. Okay. One of you. Oh, it's me. Someone new. Oh, it's just me. I'm watching me. So, yeah. See, I'm watching me. So, I was like, oh, there's 8 people, and then it's like, oh wait, no, it's just me. But anyways, well, yeah, no one filled anything. So, if y'all are cool, like, I'll probably just end the stream then. Thank you for the one YouTuber is helping me in monetization. I just want to say that. Thank you for that. I'm not bashing the Twitter people. Thank you for watching. Because for crying out loud, you were here for the entire. A lot of you were here for the entire stream, so I'm not gonna complain. I'm just making a point, a different point. But thank you all for watching. Legitimately, thank you. I'm small, so I still thank everyone. It's when I'm big It's only when I'm big and I'm like, so I got about 20,000 of you watching. There's about 4,000 of you who haven't subscribed, and you totally should. Like, I really don't want to be like that type of person. But again, this is only a part-time gig, really, because it's like I want to run for office, so that's kind of its own thing. But yeah, if you follow the channel, there'll be teasers for the campaign coming out at some point because, yeah, I'm working on them. It takes a while because it's like I'm very artsy. It's a bit of a problem there. So, because it's like I'm very artsy, so I'm consistently writing stuff in a very like thematic way. Like you just give it a foretaste. Like, what was it? I did this one I had this idea about Goliath. So like, what do I want to say? Like, because I was talking about Goliath and like David and Saul, and how like a lot of people are like Saul, and we need to be like David's. And so, um, yeah, I guess like we just do this one. So it's like, so where are my Davids? The world's Goliaths exist, harming our people. Are you ready to face the evils that stare us through our screens and mirrors? Because it's like outside and in, right? Are you ready to fight these monsters that come in flesh and spirit? Yeah. For Goliath is on our doorstep. It's very like thematic, right? It's very artsy. I hate that part about my brain, but I can't help it. So, anyways, that's why you get great content. That's why you should follow me. So, anyways, but yeah, other than that, I'm probably gonna yippee-ki-yay. So if y'all are good to roll, unless anyone has anything to want to say. I still don't see anything. So if someone's written something, you're gonna have to bring it up to my attention. Nothing in Twitter. How dare you? Now we're probably fine. Yep, nothing there. Okay. Well, anyways, I'm going to skip down to playing Destiny. So, peace out, everyone. Have a good night. Tomorrow's Friday. I have about 15 minutes to eat something with meat, and then I'm locked in on a abstaining. So, good night, my people. Again, hit the red button, arrows. I'm honestly tired. I'm not finishing this. I'm not finishing the sub. Good night. Goodbye. I'll see you next Monday, hopefully playing Destiny. If not, I believe it's 10 dates, although I'm rethinking that. So it might either be I might return to Magic or it'll be Oblivion. But Thursday, next Thursday, I'll be with Just a Catholic, and we'll be discussing Can Protestantism Save America? So as I said, intersection. He deals with the theology. I'm going to deal with the politics. Boom. We're going to make things magic. Anyways, good night.